Imagine holding a stone in your hand, day after day, until you forget it's even there. That's what worry does to the mind. It's strange, humans can be surrounded by comfort, yet inside we rarely experience a moment completely free from worry. It's as if our minds have forgotten how to rest. We keep telling ourselves, I'll be happy when things settle down, when I earn more, when life becomes easier. But that perfect moment never really arrives, does it? It always stays somewhere in the future, shiny, promising, but forever out of reach. Buddhist wisdom reminds us of a simple truth. Peace doesn't appear when life becomes ideal. Peace appears the moment we stop running away from what is here, stop trying to control everything, and gently return to the present moment. It's not a dramatic transformation. It's a quiet shift, like a lake settling when the wind stops stirring its surface. Modern life pulls us in every direction: notifications, expectations, deadlines. Sometimes it feels like we're living on autopilot, carrying invisible weight around our chest. But the real burden isn't the world outside. It's the constant stories the mind creates inside. And the beautiful thing is, those stories can be rewritten. In this video, we'll walk through 9 gentle lessons, small but powerful insights rooted in Zen Buddhist teachings and supported by modern psychology. Lessons that help us loosen the grip of anxiety, soften self-judgment, and create space for clarity and ease. Not by forcing ourselves to think positive, but by learning to see clearly, breathe naturally, and come home to the simple truth of the present. And if you've been feeling tired, overwhelmed, or stuck in constant what-if thoughts, these lessons are an invitation to slow down, to breathe again, and to remember that peace is not something you chase. Peace is something you allow. Let's begin. And now we will move into the first part of today's video, the present moment, your only real shelter. A lesson as old as Buddhist wisdom itself, yet more urgent than ever in the world we live in. Have you noticed how the mind can create storms even on a perfectly calm day? An email you haven't replied to, a conversation that might go wrong, a future that hasn't even taken shape yet. And suddenly your whole body reacts as if you're standing in front of a real danger. Your chest tightens, your breath shortens, your shoulders rise without you realizing. But here's the quiet truth, the one we often forget. The danger is rarely in the present moment. It exists in imagination, future scenarios, past memories, unfinished stories the mind keeps replaying. The past is a closed door. The future is a hallway you haven't entered yet. But the mind, it keeps dragging you everywhere except where you're actually standing. Modern psychology calls this anticipatory stress, your nervous system firing alarms about things that haven't happened. Zen Buddhism calls it living in shadows instead of seeing the light that is right in front of you. When anxiety rises, your body doesn't know it's responding to thoughts. It reacts as if everything you imagine is happening right now. A simple memory can tighten your stomach. A hypothetical what if can make your heart race. A single worry can convince your entire being that something is wrong, even when you're physically safe. This is why returning to the present moment isn't just a spiritual idea. It's a biological reset, a way to tell your nervous system, you can soften now, nothing is attacking you. The present moment is like stepping into a quiet room after standing in heavy rain. Nothing on the outside changes immediately, but something inside you settles. Try this. Notice your breath. Not to change it, not to deepen it, just to feel it happening. In that small pause, something shifts. Your mind stops sprinting into the future. Your body stops fighting invisible battles. The present moment is the only place anxiety cannot survive. It needs the past to fuel guilt and the future to fuel fear. But here, in this breath, in this exact second, you are safe. Zen masters often describe it with a simple image. A lamp placed on the ground casts a small, clear circle of light. Outside the circle, everything is uncertain. But the moment you step into the circle, you can see again. Your breath is that circle of light, and when you return to it, your entire system begins to calm. Your shoulders release, your heartbeat eases, your thoughts loosen their grip. The practice is incredibly simple, though not always easy. Right now I am safe. Right now I am breathing, and right now is enough. Say it softly inside yourself, not as a mantra to escape reality, but as a reminder to come back home, back to the one place where peace is actually possible. Because anxiety cannot coexist with presence. One dissolves the other every single time. In this moment, you are safe, and this moment is all you truly have. After stepping into the calm of the present moment, feeling your breath, and sensing your body settle, we begin to realize something subtle. Resistance is heavy. The moment we fight what is, our mind tightens, our chest aches, and the space for clarity shrinks. And so, naturally, we move into the next insight, the second part of today's video. Acceptance isn't giving up. Finding freedom in what is. This is a lesson the heart often resists because we confuse acceptance with weakness. We tell ourselves, if I accept this, I am surrendering. If I let this happen, I am failing. But Buddhist wisdom gently reminds us, acceptance is not surrender to helplessness. It's an invitation to see clearly, to stop pouring energy into fighting reality, to stop exhausting yourself over what cannot be controlled. Think about a river flowing. You can try to hold it back with your hands, with your will, with your plans. But resistance only creates tension and splashes, fatigue and frustration. The water itself is not the enemy. Your insistence on holding it back is what causes suffering. In the same way, life presents loss, mistakes, delays, unexpected challenges, and suffering arises mostly from our refusal to see them as they are. Acceptance gives you room to breathe again. It doesn't stop you from learning, improving, or acting wisely. Instead, it frees up the energy trapped in endless cycles of if only. When you stop demanding the world to match your plans, clarity appears. Your mind can see solutions, your heart can feel lighter, and a gentle sense of peace replaces tension. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack all day. Every time life deviates from your expectations, you load another stone into it. Acceptance is the moment you finally pause, open the straps, and let some weight drop. You don't stop walking, you continue your journey, lighter and freer. Your steps are no longer dictated by fear of what might happen, but guided by awareness and intention. In practice, it could be as simple as noticing your reactions. When something unexpected happens, instead of saying, "This shouldn't be happening," try, "This is happening, and I can meet it with calm." A single shift in thought creates a subtle change in body and mind. Muscles unclench, breath deepens, tension softens. And over time, these tiny shifts accumulate, building a foundation where anxiety no longer rules and freedom quietly grows. Acceptance also invites compassion. When you stop fighting reality, you stop fighting yourself. You begin to treat your fears, mistakes, and discomforts not as enemies to conquer, but as experiences to witness. Your inner voice softens, no longer harsh, no longer urgent. You give yourself permission to exist without judgment, without shame. And here is the paradox. In learning to accept, you gain the true power to act. You act from clarity, not from compulsion. You choose what matters and release the rest. You stop exhausting energy on what cannot be controlled, and suddenly, even the impossible becomes lighter to carry. So as we continue this journey through today's lessons, remember, acceptance is not giving up. It is a key to freedom, a path to seeing reality with open eyes and an open heart. The more you practice, the more you discover that peace doesn't require perfection. Peace only requires that you let go of the need for everything to be exactly as you want. And in that letting go, life's flow becomes less heavy, and your spirit learns to breathe again. Having embraced acceptance, letting go of the need to control every outcome, and feeling the quiet space it creates within, you may notice your mind still chattering. Even in calm moments, thoughts rise, swirl, and pull at your attention. It's here that we gently transition, and we move to the next part of today's video. Not every thought deserves your trust. Seeing the clouds in your mind. Our minds generate thousands of thoughts daily, many of them repetitive, many arising from fear, doubt, or imagination. You may wake up replaying yesterday's conversation, worrying about tomorrow's unknown, or fearing events that haven't happened yet. It can feel like your thoughts are reality itself, but they are not. They are more like clouds drifting across the vast sky of your awareness. Some clouds are light and playful, some dark and stormy, but none of them define the sky. The sky remains untouched, just as your awareness remains vast and calm beneath the surface of these passing mental events. Anxiety grows when we believe every thought we have. You hear a whisper, "What if something goes wrong?" And suddenly you follow it down a spiraling chain of imagined catastrophes. The mind convinces you of danger that doesn't exist, and your body reacts as if it were real. Muscles tense, heart races, chest tightens. All this happens not because of what's happening outside, but because of the story you are believing inside. Buddhism reminds us that thoughts are impermanent and often untrue. You are not your thoughts. They are temporary events in the mind, like clouds passing across the sky. When you notice them without clinging, they lose their power. A thought of fear becomes just that, a thought, not a command. You can observe it, acknowledge it, and let it drift away. This practice at its heart is mindfulness, creating a space between yourself and the story your mind wants to tell. Try this the next time a worrying thought arises. Pause, breathe, and say to yourself, "This is just a thought. It is not a fact. I don't have to believe it." Immediately the grip loosens. Muscles unclench, breath deepens, and clarity begins to seep in. With time and repetition, you start to notice patterns. Some clouds come often, guilt, fear, regret, but none are permanent and none define who you are. You start to meet your mind with awareness, not with reaction. Imagine watching a storm from a mountaintop. From a distance, the storm seems smaller. The trees bend, the rain falls, but you are safe, observing it with a calm, clear mind. Your thoughts are the storm. Your awareness is the mountaintop. The more you return to this place, the more you realize that panic and worry only have power if you give them power. By recognizing that not all thoughts deserve your trust, you reclaim your inner space, your freedom, and your peace. This practice also nurtures self-compassion. You no longer label yourself weak or inadequate for having fearful thoughts. Instead, you learn to witness them as a teacher, a mirror reflecting the mind's patterns, not your identity. In this way, mindfulness transforms anxiety into insight and fear into clarity. You are no longer a victim of your own imagination. You become a patient observer, responding to life rather than reacting to it. As we continue on this journey, remember that not every thought deserves your trust. The clouds will come, but you don't need to chase, fight, or cling to them. You simply watch, breathe, and return to the present moment. And with this awareness, even the stormiest thoughts gradually lose their intensity, leaving behind a sky of calm, openness, and freedom. After learning to recognize your thoughts as passing clouds, to observe without believing them, you may notice a quiet shift within. You begin to realize that even the stormiest fears are temporary, like weather patterns passing over a vast landscape. And now, we move to the next part of today's video. Impermanence, fear cannot last forever, where we explore how understanding the transient nature of life can free us from the weight of anxiety. Everything in life is constantly changing: emotions, circumstances, people, and even our own bodies. The joy you felt yesterday may fade, just as the sorrow you feel now will eventually dissolve. Life is like a river. Moments flow continuously, never holding still. The pain that seems unbearable today is often the same pain you once feared would never end, but it has already passed in many ways. Recognizing this natural rhythm allows us to stop clinging, to stop identifying ourselves with temporary states. Think of emotions as waves in the ocean. Some waves rise high, others crash violently, some barely ripple the surface. None of them last forever. Yet when we fail to see their impermanence, we imagine they are permanent cliffs, unmovable and unchangeable, and we suffer unnecessarily. We carry grief from last year, fear of next month, and disappointment from long ago, as if they are our constant companions. But every feeling, even the deepest, has a lifespan. By simply acknowledging that this moment is fleeting, we create space between ourselves and our suffering. Try this practice. Whenever you feel anxious, stressed, or fearful, gently remind yourself, this is only a moment. It will pass. Breathe into this understanding. Notice the weight on your chest lighten, the tension in your shoulders release. You may even catch yourself smiling slightly, not because the situation has changed, but because you have returned to a deeper truth, that no storm lasts forever. Understanding impermanence also transforms the way we relate to our past. Remember those moments when heartbreak, loss, or failure felt overwhelming? You survived them. They exist now only in memory. This is proof that what seems unbearable is temporary, and what feels permanent will eventually dissolve. When we internalize this truth, we stop defining ourselves by fear or anxiety. We begin to live with a sense of freedom that comes not from external control, but from inner clarity and trust in life's unfolding. Impermanence does not mean detachment from life, but a gentler, wiser engagement with it. We do not have to eliminate emotions, nor do we try to freeze moments. Instead, we allow them to exist fully, knowing they are temporary. This is how we meet sorrow with compassion, joy with gratitude, and fear with courage. Even the darkest clouds are allowed to pass, leaving the sky open and vast once again. Imagine holding sand tightly in your hand, refusing to let go. The harder you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. The same is true with life and emotions. When we try to hold on to permanence, we create suffering. But when we understand impermanence, we learn to flow with life, to release, to breathe, and to find peace amidst change. As we continue our journey, remember this guiding principle. Fear cannot last forever. Every emotion, every circumstance, every challenge is temporary. By practicing awareness of impermanence, we create a foundation of stability within ourselves that no external event can shake. We are like the sky, vast and enduring, while clouds rise and fall. Even the most overwhelming feelings eventually drift away, and what remains is a clear, open space where peace, clarity, and freedom naturally emerge. As we come to understand impermanence, realizing that every emotion, situation, and fear is temporary, a new freedom emerges. You begin to notice that the tighter you grip life, the more your energy is drained, and anxiety thrives in that tension. Now, we will move to the next part of today's video. Letting go of control. It was never your burden, where we explore how releasing the illusion of control can bring profound peace. Many of us carry the heavy weight of trying to control everything. We meticulously plan, overthink, and worry, believing that if we just stay vigilant and act hard enough, life will bend to our will. But the truth is, no matter how carefully we plan, much of life unfolds beyond our reach. Other people's choices, sudden changes in circumstances, or even our own emotions at times refuse to follow our expectations. The belief that we can hold everything perfectly in our hands is an illusion, and this illusion is often the root of anxiety. Imagine holding a handful of water, trying to keep every drop from slipping. The harder you squeeze, the more it escapes. This is exactly what happens when we attempt to control every outcome in life. Stress builds, energy is wasted, and the heart feels heavy. When we release our need for complete control, we create space to breathe, to act wisely, and to respond from clarity rather than fear. Letting go of control does not mean inaction or indifference. It means showing up fully in the present moment, putting your effort into what matters, and then allowing life to flow naturally. You do your best in work, in relationships, in caring for yourself, and in responding to challenges, but you stop tying your peace to the result. This distinction is subtle but life-changing. When you practice it, energy that was previously trapped in worry and tension can now move freely, supporting creativity, compassion, and presence. Buddhism calls this approach right effort, acting intentionally without attachment to outcomes. It's not a denial of responsibility, it's a liberation from unnecessary suffering. Consider planting a seed. You water it, tend the soil, and provide sunlight, but you cannot force the exact moment it will sprout or the shape it will take. You act fully, but you let nature take its course. Your energy is directed with wisdom, not wasted on resisting what cannot be changed. Trust is the companion of letting go. Trust that life has its own rhythm, its own intelligence. Trust that even when the path deviates from your expectations, you are exactly where you need to be to grow, learn, and find meaning. By releasing the illusion of control, anxiety begins to dissolve. You begin to feel lighter, freer, and more at ease in each moment, because you are no longer carrying the impossible burden of bending everything to your will. This practice transforms the way we relate to challenges. Unexpected events no longer create panic. They become invitations to engage with presence and mindfulness. Difficult emotions, rather than being battles to fight, become signals to observe and learn. By relinquishing control, we stop resisting life and start moving with it, like a river that flows around rocks rather than against them. Energy once trapped in worry is now available for joy, for creativity, and for connection with others. Try this. When anxiety creeps in, when you feel the urge to control outcomes, pause and breathe. Remind yourself, I am doing my part, I am present, and the rest will unfold as it should. Notice how this subtle shift creates calm, clarity, and a sense of spaciousness inside. Life does not need your perfection to continue, and your peace does not need everything to go according to plan. This is the power of letting go, a liberation from an impossible burden, a gentle release into the flow of existence. After learning to let go of control, a subtle and often overlooked source of tension remains: the voice inside that constantly worries. Even when we release the illusion of managing every outcome, this inner chatter can keep us restless. And so, we will move to the next part of today's video. Speak kindly to your inner warrior, where we explore how treating this voice with compassion can transform anxiety into peace. That inner voice, the one whispering doubts, imagining worst-case scenarios, or asking, "Are you sure you can handle this?" is not inherently cruel. In fact, it's trying to protect you. Its intentions are to anticipate danger, prevent mistakes, or prepare you for challenges. But its methods are exhausting. It drains your energy, heightens tension, and steals your joy, often without offering true solutions. Imagine a frightened child hiding in the corner, crying and trembling. This is the voice of anxiety within us, desperate for attention, convinced that if it is ignored, something terrible will happen. If we respond with anger or suppression, the child only becomes louder, more insistent, and more fearful. The practice of self-compassion turns this dynamic upside down. Instead of trying to silence or battle the voice, we acknowledge it with warmth, understanding, and patience. We can gently say, "I know you're scared. I know you're trying to protect me, but we are okay right now. Let's breathe together, one step at a time." This simple act of recognition is powerful. By treating the inner warrior like a frightened child rather than an enemy, we create a space of safety where fear can relax and let go. As the voice feels heard, it gradually quiets. It no longer needs to scream to get attention because it trusts that we are present and aware. Anxiety begins to lose its grip, and a sense of calm emerges, not from avoiding life's uncertainties, but from a newfound relationship with them. We stop seeing our fears as threats to be fought, and instead, we learn to walk alongside them with mindfulness. This is the essence of modern Buddhist self-compassion: awareness, patience, and gentle acceptance of our inner world. Consider an example. You receive a sudden email about a problem at work. Immediately, your inner voice jumps in. "This will ruin everything. You'll fail. What if they blame you?" Instead of following its alarmist storyline, you pause, take a deep breath, and acknowledge, "I hear you. I know you are worried. But right now I am safe. I can respond calmly, step by step." By doing so, you regain your center. The imagined disasters lose power. Your energy is no longer scattered in fear. It is available for clear thinking and compassionate action. Over time, this practice rewires the mind. The inner warrior becomes a guide rather than a tyrant. You start noticing its patterns without automatically reacting. The fear still arises, but it no longer dominates your experience. Peace and resilience grow because you have learned to meet anxiety with understanding instead of resistance. In the flow of modern life, this is a profound skill: the ability to navigate uncertainty, stress, and fear without losing your sense of calm and self-trust. In essence, speaking kindly to your inner voice transforms how you relate to yourself. Instead of fighting an endless battle against fear, you cultivate a compassionate partnership within. You begin to embody the gentle wisdom of a teacher guiding a student, not with punishment but with patience and care. And as you practice this daily, the once overwhelming noise of anxiety softens, leaving room for clarity, creativity, and joy. This is not a quick fix, it is a lifelong cultivation, but one that turns your inner world from a place of conflict into a sanctuary of peace. After learning to speak kindly to our inner warrior, a subtle transformation begins within. Yet there is one more profound shift awaiting us: how we relate to joy itself. So, we will move to the next part of today's video: joy as a daily practice, not a reward, where we explore the idea that happiness is not something to be earned or postponed, but something to cultivate moment by moment. Many of us spend our lives waiting for the perfect conditions to allow ourselves to be happy. We imagine that only when our career is stable, our relationships flawless, and our health ideal, can we finally smile without worry. But life, in its ever-changing flow, rarely fits that script. There will always be imperfections, unexpected challenges, and moments of uncertainty. And if we tie our joy to perfection, we are doomed to wait forever. The wisdom of modern Buddhism teaches us that happiness is not a distant prize. It is a daily practice. It is a gentle, conscious returning to the present, noticing the simple gifts that life offers right now. Consider the sunlight brushing against your skin on a crisp morning, the whisper of wind through leaves, the simple act of sipping a warm cup of tea, or the rhythm of your breath rising and falling. These small, ordinary moments are gateways to deep contentment. They are not grand achievements, yet they are profound. By nurturing joy in these everyday experiences, anxiety naturally begins to fade. When we focus on what is present, our mind stops chasing imagined futures or replaying past regrets. We develop gratitude not as an abstract concept, but as a lived experience. Each moment of awareness becomes a building block of a resilient, peaceful mind. Even in challenging times, the practice of recognizing small joys grounds us. The mind learns to shift from a state of scarcity, always wanting, always fearing, to a state of sufficiency, noticing that life, as it unfolds, contains countless reasons to be grateful. Imagine walking through a bustling city street. Cars honk, people rush, and yet you notice a flower blooming in a cracked sidewalk, the smile of a stranger, the warmth of sunlight on your face. This act of noticing this simple, deliberate attention is an exercise in joy. It is not a reward for doing everything right. It is an acknowledgement that life itself, imperfect and unpredictable, is enough to generate peace and happiness. This practice also teaches us a subtle but essential truth: joy and presence are inseparable. The more we return to the current moment with awareness, the more we discover that happiness was never elsewhere. It was always waiting for us, quietly, in the ordinary. We stop relying on external circumstances to dictate our emotional state. We stop postponing life until some imagined future is perfect. Instead, life itself becomes the practice, and the practice itself becomes life. Over time, this approach rewires our relationship with our inner world. We become less reactive to stress, less dependent on outcomes, and more capable of holding calm amidst uncertainty. We discover that joy is not a destination but a journey, one that grows from curiosity, gratitude, and gentle attentiveness to each fleeting moment. In essence, happiness is less about what happens to us and more about how we choose to see, feel, and respond to the present. It is a skill, a habit, and a form of liberation from the endless chase of perfection. So today, as we conclude this lesson, remember, joy is always available. It does not require ideal conditions, flawless achievements, or complete certainty. It is present in the sunlight, in the breath, in a warm cup of tea, and in the simple awareness that you are alive, here, and now. By practicing joy daily, even amidst life's messiness, we cultivate a mind that is lighter, freer, and capable of profound peace. Happiness, in this modern Buddhist perspective, is not a reward for perfection. It is the unfolding of life itself, moment by moment. As we nurture joy in the simple moments of life, we begin to notice how often our mind clings to worry, holding us back from the peace that is already available. Yet there is another essential insight waiting for us: understanding how to release this mental grip. So we will move to the next part of today's video: the wisdom of letting go. According to Buddhist teachings, where we explore how to recognize worry as a habit rather than our true nature and return to inner calm. Modern Buddhist wisdom reminds us that anxiety is not the essence of who we are. It is a learned pattern, a recurring habit of the mind. From childhood through adulthood, we have been conditioned to anticipate threats, imagine worst-case scenarios, and rehearse failures over and over. But recognizing that these thoughts and reactions are habitual rather than intrinsic gives us a doorway to freedom. It allows us to step back and observe rather than be swept away by the currents of fear. One of the most profound tools we can use is mindfulness. By training attention to the present moment, we begin to see things as they truly are, without adding layers of imagination or exaggeration. For instance, when a difficult email arrives or someone's words trigger fear, our first reaction might be to spiral into worry, and our mind magnifies the situation into something catastrophic. Mindfulness gives us the space to notice. This is just a thought, not a prophecy. This emotion is visiting me. It does not define me. We are not our worry. We are the awareness observing it. Returning to the breath is one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to anchor ourselves. Imagine the breath as a gentle river flowing through your being. When your mind becomes turbulent with fear or anticipation, bringing your attention to each inhale and exhale allows the currents to settle. The stormy waves of thought lose their power as you touch the calm beneath them. Even a few mindful breaths can remind you that the present moment is safe, real, and enough. This practice is not about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. It is about allowing thoughts and feelings to exist without letting them control you. It is about cultivating an inner sanctuary where anxiety is observed, understood, and gently released. The more we practice, the more we discover that freedom is not a distant goal. It is accessible every time we notice our thoughts and return to the present. Consider a tree in the middle of a storm. The wind bends its branches, shakes its leaves, yet the trunk remains grounded. Similarly, our mind can experience emotions, worries, and doubts without being uprooted by them. The trunk of mindfulness and the roots of awareness hold us steady, even when external circumstances are unpredictable or chaotic. By understanding that worry is a habit, we shift from struggling against life to walking alongside it with gentle attention. We no longer feel the need to control outcomes, prevent every mishap, or predict the future perfectly. Instead, we respond with clarity, presence, and care, allowing life to unfold while maintaining inner balance. This is the essence of the Buddhist teaching on letting go. Wisdom born from observation, patience, and compassionate attention to the mind's patterns. As we integrate this into daily life, moments of anxiety lose their dominance. We begin to recognize that the true nature of our mind is calm, spacious, and observant. The practice of letting go does not remove challenges, but it removes the unnecessary suffering caused by clinging and resistance. It teaches us that peace is cultivated in the space between thought and reaction, where awareness can watch without judgment. So as we embrace this lesson, remember, worry does not define you. It is a habit that can be observed, understood, and released. By returning to the present, grounding yourself in your breath, and practicing mindful awareness, you create a sanctuary within a place where the mind is free, the heart is calm, and life is lived fully, moment by moment. This is the wisdom of letting go, a path to lasting peace and freedom in the modern world. After learning the wisdom of letting go, it's natural to wonder how to turn these insights into daily life. So we will move to the next part of today's video, practicing daily happiness, where we explore simple, practical ways to cultivate a peaceful mind and lasting joy. True happiness is not a distant reward waiting for a perfect life. It is something we can practice every day, beginning in small, intentional steps. It starts with the simplest action, breathing deeply. Just a few conscious breaths create space between the chaos of thoughts and the calm that is already present. Notice the rise and fall of your chest, the gentle flow of air in and out. This is your anchor, your safe place in any storm. By returning to this anchor multiple times a day, even for a minute or two, you teach your mind that peace is accessible, always present, and not dependent on circumstances. Next, pause. Stop rushing through tasks. Stop letting your mind chase tomorrow or replay yesterday. Even brief moments of stillness allow awareness to settle, like the surface of a lake after the wind dies down. Observe the thoughts and sensations without judgment, like a curious child watching clouds pass. Each pause is an opportunity to return to presence, to notice life as it unfolds without the distortion of worry. Choose daily joys consciously. These are not grand experiences or material gains. They are small openings in ordinary life where happiness can enter. The warmth of sunlight on your skin, the smell of coffee in the morning, A few notes of a favorite song, the laughter of someone you love. These simple moments are the gateways to lasting joy. Notice them, savor them, and let them accumulate. When you practice gratitude for these small experiences, anxiety naturally loosens its grip because your attention shifts from fear to appreciation. Evenings offer a special opportunity. Before sleep, you can create a simple ritual to release the day's tensions. Lie down, take a few deep breaths, and allow yourself to mentally drop everything you cannot control. Gently remind yourself, I have done my part. Now I allow my mind and body to rest. This nightly practice signals to your nervous system that it is safe to relax, promoting deeper, more restorative sleep. Over time, this ritual becomes a habit, an automatic cue that encourages your mind to enter a state of calm, letting go of the day's weight. It is important to remember that happiness is a skill, not a chance event. Like learning to play a musical instrument or cultivate a plant, the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Daily mindfulness, pausing, noticing small joys, and letting go of control gradually rewire the mind toward contentment. The mind becomes like a well-tended garden. Each act of attention and care nourishes the soil, and happiness grows as a natural, inevitable consequence. Imagine walking through a forest. If you rush, worrying about the destination, you miss the beauty around you, the subtle patterns of leaves, the songs of birds, the sunlight through the branches. But if you slow down, breathe, and take in what is present, the forest itself becomes your teacher and companion. Happiness works in the same way. It is cultivated by returning to the present moment, by noticing the small miracles of life, and by practicing gentleness toward yourself. Ultimately, practicing daily happiness is about reclaiming your power. It reminds you that joy is not something to wait for. It is something to engage with actively. It teaches that peace is not a result of external perfection, but the result of your attention, intention, and care. By breathing deeply, pausing intentionally, noticing small joys, and letting go each evening, you create a life where happiness is not fleeting. It becomes a natural state of being, accessible in every moment. We often search for peace as if it were somewhere far away, hidden behind perfect circumstances or the absence of fear. But the truth is, peace has always been here, quietly waiting for us to notice. We don't need a flawless life to breathe freely. We don't need to erase every fear to allow ourselves to be happy. The doorway to joy and freedom opens the moment we turn back to the present, when we truly see the impermanence of all things, release the illusion of control, and treat ourselves with genuine kindness. Imagine for a moment the calm after a storm. The air smells clean, the sky is clear, and everything seems lighter. That is the feeling waiting for you when you stop chasing the future and stop resisting what is. Every thought that drags you into worry is just a passing cloud. When you step back, breathe, and meet yourself with compassion, the clouds drift away, revealing the boundless sky of your awareness. Happiness is not a distant goal. It is the gentle recognition of what is already here. It is in the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the slow inhale and exhale, the small laughter that bubbles up unexpectedly. Every act of returning to the present, every moment of letting go, is a seed of liberation. And as you nurture these seeds, anxiety loses its power. Your mind learns that life is not a battle to be won, but a river to be navigated with care, curiosity, and trust. I invite you now, take one conscious breath. Feel it fill your lungs. Let it remind you that you are already enough, and that freedom is not ahead. It is here. And if your heart whispers doubt, hear it with kindness, like a frightened child in need of reassurance. Speak gently to yourself. I am here. I am safe. This is enough. When we treat ourselves with patience and care, the inner critic softens, the storms settle, and we discover a peace that no circumstance can take away. In the next video, we will explore ways to weave this freedom into every corner of your daily life, building habits that carry serenity and joy into every decision and every interaction. But for now, pause. Let the truth of this moment sink in. The peace you've been chasing has been here all along. You only need to stop running and open your eyes. So take that breath, notice your heart, and let gratitude rise for this very moment. Comment below one small way you will bring yourself back to presence today. Let's create a ripple of calm and joy together, reminding each other that happiness is not a destination, but a living, breathing practice. You are free here, right now, and the journey has just begun.